Hi everyone, welcome back to BDSM. This is Boys Discussing Some Movies. We are boys, and we're here to discuss the next film in our season of movies that make us feel scared or evoke the feeling of scared.
Hell yeah.
And this was my pick today. I wanted to pick something more mainstream, so I went with Aliens, James Cameron's Aliens, 1986.
Get away from her, you bitch!
You know this movie. It's beloved. I mean, you know, I've never met anyone who doesn't like this movie who's seen it. You know, Val even likes it. Yeah, most of us have seen it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen it countless times. I know it pretty well. We have. Am I allowed to say that you haven't seen it before?
Yeah, go for
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we've all seen it before except for Edgar. So I'm very curious to hear what you have to think. I know you're a fan of the first one, but
I fucking love the first one.
It
so
felt like
much.
seeing it for the first time again for me.
Good,
It's been
good.
So long.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah, it's been a long. You saw it in the theater when you were in your 20s, but
Back in 1986.
yeah. So yeah, I can start talking unless anyone else wants
No,
to say
go
anything.
for it. I don't know if you want to say a quick synopsis of it.
Sure, I
It's
can.
such a
I can
popular
say a
movie.
quick synopsis. I
Oh.
mean, you've seen it if you're watching this
If
video.
you clicked on this video, you've seen this movie.
Yeah.
Who are
Dude,
you kidding?
This
But-
is your time to shine, man.
I'm
Like,
terrible at
flex,
synopses,
flex, you
but
know?
here we go. But no. So yeah, it's set. Well, it's set kind of immediately after the first movie, but then we also soon find out that it's 57 years later. Ripley got herself and her cat frozen in the cryogenic tube. Jonesy, yeah. And then they get finded, and she finds out it's been a while, and this isn't in the theatrical version. The stuff with the daughter, is it?
No, in the theatrical version, Ripley's daughter is not mentioned.
We
at
watched
all.
the theatrical
Wow.
version.
She has a daughter, huh?
Yeah, she has a daughter, and it's there's a whole scene in the extended version where, you know, they tell her daughter's elderly. Well, she died, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
her
shit.
daughter got old and died while she was.
Whoa.
You and me both haven't seen this.
Yeah.
Damn. Dude, that adds so much to her character, Eric.
That's one thing that I think, and maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. One thing,
Like
there's
the
some
whole
things
mother figure.
I understand why they
Yeah.
cut them out, and that's one where I think they really should have left that in every version of the movie.
I think the extended version is more comprehensive and enhances the movie quite a bit.
I agree, but anyway.
You just have to be a little bit more patient.
So she finds out that it's the future, and the company that she worked for was questioning the legitimacy of her story about blowing up the ship to kill an evil alien, because they're greedy 80s business types. There's a colony of people living on the planet where they found the alien in the first movie, and all of a sudden they lose contact with the colony, and they think something's gone wrong. So they're going to send the Marines down there, the Space Marines, and they also bring in Ripley as a consultant, I guess,
Yeah.
to the planet. And they get there, and there's aliens, and it's bad for our characters.
I'm scared.
Yeah. So the reason I picked this movie is because I feel like we get a lot of different types of scared from all the different characters. We get different levels of scared and different kind of types, like different things they're kind of afraid of. A lot of people don't crack until the end of this movie. I mean, some of them don't really crack. Like Vasquez never really cracks. Neither does Ripley. Neither does Hicks either. But you know, even Burke. You know, he doesn't seem to be that scared of the aliens. But once they start realizing his whole scheme to try to bring them home, he seems pretty scared of the Marines. Actually, of the people he's with.
More scared of the Marines
Yeah.
than he is of the alien.
And you know, we have Hudson who comes on very strong, but we can kind of tell early on from like the knife thing that he's a bit of a coward, and you know that's definitely shown more and more as the movie goes on. You guys,
I was
Val,
going to say, Hudson, fine performance by Bill Paxton.
amazing performance from Bill Paxton.
I really love saying that name.
Yeah, a legend, the late Bill Paxton.
I want to mention one of my favorite aspects of this movie is actually Burke. The way, especially in the extended version, they introduce Burke to you. He comes off as a very empathetic guy, or at least on the surface. And it's not until the scene when everyone's in the big business room and he's kind of not standing up for Ripley that you get to see a bit of his true colors. And he's kind of at the crux of this movie. He's actually the instigator of why the colony basically contacts the aliens and basically inoculate themselves with that whole affair. And it's basically for his greed, but this whole movie uses the mirroring of him and the android very finely at the very beginning of this movie. When what's the android's name again?
Bishop.
When Bishop sits across from him and offers him cornbread, there's kind of this dynamic where it looks like Bishop kind of doesn't care about things, and they bring up the first movie's incident. They try and make Bishop appear cold and calculating, which he is. He's a machine.
They kind of try to make you scared of him in a couple scenes. Make you seem shady.
They sit across from each other as if to kind of mirror who Burke is in this movie relative to the last movie. He's the one who wants to experiment with the aliens. He wants to profit off of this, and he wants to better his own position in a kind of mirroring of humanity's own selfish and awful qualities. And ironically, as he keeps throwing people under the bus to basically better his own position, he neglects the realization of the threat until it's far too late and he's cornered and alone in a room. I think that's such a great way to show a character and use them kind of to represent a part of humanity, and how that will ultimately likely end up for them.
And he was pretty scared at the end.
Yeah, he's scared.
So what did you think of this, in comparison to the first? Did you like it more or less? I mean, in some ways they're hard to compare. But...
Yeah, I'm still processing it, but my immediate reaction is I fucking loved it. I was also they're two different types of movies, I think.
Definitely.
First one is a lot slower. In a good way, I want to say that.
Oh yeah.
And this is you know the story already. You know that these are aliens, and now Ripley and this team is in this situation, and just chaos ensues, and fucking awesome action scenes, and there's still scenes that are pretty scary in this one. Where in the just the visual effects of it too, they did such a good job with the makeup stuff in terms of the alien goo and how it looks wet and just fucking gross.
And I like when he's dissecting the face hugger. It looks very real.
Yeah, it looks so real, and it's the way the egg always opens up. It's always just cool to see that shit.
The secretions.
It's really nasty.
It's time for our famous segment, Michael's Secretion Corner.
Well, it's less a corner than a street.
Add on to what Edgar was saying. I like that the first movie is a horror movie, and that this movie I feel is an action movie, but I think it also is a recovery from trauma movie is kind of what it's going for, and the true recovery from trauma is taking action. So
I love that.
I think it's very fitting.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I wrote down just a bunch of random shit, but that was one of those that she is traumatized from the first one. She still has these nightmares. She wakes up in these sweats, and then you see her journey, and I just want to say that she is one of the coolest movie characters ever. She's on my list of the most badass movie characters of all time.
Yeah.
She is so fucking cool. I cannot overstate that. So even with her terror and her fear, she's still a good person that like, as much as shitty as that one burp guy was, she like doesn't kill him immediately. Like, no, we need to like,
even
keep
when
him
the
alive.
Marines want to kill him.
Go back for those people, you know, like the military guy in the beginning, the guy that was supposed to be in charge of the whole operation.
Yeah, Gorman, who has no experience.
Yeah, who like in the first interaction they have when they send the military dudes to go check it out, like he's like a 911 operator that's just like watching it all go down, and he's just like sweating, and like you kind of feel for him because like, well, what are you supposed to do? But like Ripley's like, give me the like. Tell him to get out of there, and like she immediately like turns on and like starts driving the space Tesla car to go rescue them, and like she does what she can, and there's so many instances in this movie where she like does so many badass things. And
I mean,
like,
she has to step up in so many instances, like when there's no one else.
Yeah.
Like, she's capable.
It's the thing she's most terrified about, that she still has nightmares, but she like confronts it head on, like especially at the end with the little girl.
Yeah.
Like, she goes back with like 5 minutes left or some shit. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I would not be able to.
Yeah.
5 minutes is not a long time.
No.
It's 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
That's
do
funny.
you think it's possible that a young Elon Musk derived inspiration from this movie?
I
It's
think
like,
that's highly
I want to make
possible.
cars that look just like that, and I want to terraform planets.
Well, on the subject, just incidentally, there are so many things that are super influential in this movie. The game Mass Effect, fantastic game. They recreate the all-terrain vehicle. They
Really?
have them
Oh, yeah.
in the game. And they're Space Marines. You know, it's like, I feel
Why
like
you
that-
call it Space Marines? This is funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they are.
No,
yeah.
I know. It just sounds
It's called
funny to
Space
me.
Marines in
It
this, and Halo takes a lot
just
from
sounds-
this movie too.
The way
Yeah.
the assault rifles look.
The assault rifles, with the numbers counting down, and the
Yeah.
sergeant, like
Super
they have
cool.
a guy who's just like that in Halo.
Super cool.
And you know, so many things take from this movie and from the first movie. They're both so iconic.
Yeah.
They really
I love
are.
Sergeant Napone. I'm bummed he dies so early in that movie.
I
Such
know.
a great character.
It's like Aliens, like the franchise, like I mean the Alien franchise, I should say, like the first two movies,
Yeah,
Alien
first
and
two.
Aliens, so supremely
S tier.
iconic. And like
Yeah.
you're saying, like, Sigourney Weaver is just put her on the short list of just great,
Yes.
great movie stars
Mm-hmm.
and action heroes, and I can't come up with anybody that could do what Sigourney does in those two movies.
Yeah.
She's just such a incredible presence like the whole time, and what she's able to do, and this is so rare that, again, if you can think of somebody else who can do this, like she's able to vacillate between tender, vulnerable, motherly, and then just an absolute badass who can take down the queen alien. Who else can do that? So
And-
Sigourney is just unreal.
In addition to like the
Yeah.
tactician, like she's in the room,
Yeah.
she's got her collar popped, and
Yeah.
she's like, all right, what do we need to do? Like, let's make a
She
plan.
can be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
She can take
yeah.
over shit, but then she can be totally vulnerable, and it's just incredible acting. And you know, like these movies, I don't think are possible without Sigourney. Like
Yeah.
she, as great as the whole thing is, she makes it possible.
Like it's in that scene where like she becomes like the tactical person. She's like, she doesn't know how a lot of that shit works, but she's like, okay, what are our options? Okay, go find the layout for this. Go find the layout for this. And it's like not shortly after or before does she do that scene where she's like consoling this child, like being a mother figure for
Yeah.
her, which is crazy that she was actually a mom.
Well, that's what I
I'm
wanted
sure
to
that
bring up.
plays a lot into this.
I would have
Yeah.
viewed the movie
It just
differently
naturally-
if I knew that.
You know,
I think
It's-
that's something they definitely shouldn't have cut out.
like is she
Especially
missing
since
her
it-
daughter, or is she
she's-
just like that?
Yeah,
you know?
no, she's kind of trying to, you know, kind of save a surrogate daughter throughout the whole movie, which
Yeah.
is kind of, I feel like, I mean, she, you know, any hero, any like movie hero would be trying to save the little kid, but the
Sure,
fact
but
that she
there's,
goes
like,
to
another
so
level
many
there.
extremes, exactly,
I mean, the
and I
fact
think that plays
Newt
better
went
if you
through
know about the
trauma
daughter.
similar to her. Sorry.
No, no.
Yeah.
Is just like she sees herself in Newt, and kind of wants to protect that you know child, that vulnerable side. So this is where the action part, she steps up and kind of puts herself beside her own trauma to protect this kid, because she knows what that kid has gone through, what she's going through, how scared she is. And I mean, the daughter just enhances it, because she's missed so much in all of this time. What does she have to live for? What does she have to motivate and drive her? And I think this all kind of coalesces together in such a beautiful way. That's all I have to say on that.
Which is one of the many things that sucks about Alien 3. Which is what ends up happening
Let's not talk about
to those characters in that movie.
Let's not talk about that.
I just wanted to share one extra thing about, like, say, Alien and Aliens, right? I think it's interesting that there's no wrong answer, right? They're both masterpieces.
Right.
And I think it is analogous to Godfather and Godfather 2, where it's like, I don't think there's a wrong answer. Like, but I do think in a way, like, I slightly prefer Godfather 2, but if you said Godfather is better, I'm like, it probably is. I think Alien, that's my
Which
preference.
aliens do you prefer, the 1 or 2?
1.
Don't you?
I prefer Alien 1, but that's just because there are elements of that movie that resonate more with me. But Aliens is incredible. So the thing about Alien is it does move slower, and you're just spending more time with the characters and just thinking about all of it, and it's more that underlying tension, right? The movie, I love all the underlying tension and all the just questioning each other. So and then also I mentioned it before, I alluded to it, but I think that the first Alien has, for me, the greatest jump scare in history.
Yeah.
When Dallas is killed by the alien, that's like movie making at its
I
finest.
included that in our Dark Star.
Yeah, you did, and shout out to that. Yeah.
So one of the things I really, really want to talk about is I think one of the brilliant pieces of this franchise, the Alien franchise, is that the kind of fulcrum of motivation is survival.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens are trying to survive. And you can look at the movies through this lens all the way through. Like the mother alien at the end, like, I mean, she like grabs onto that ship, and Ripley comes out, she has Newt in her arms, there's no ship. She's like, God damn you, Bishop. And she's still looking around. She's like, what can I do? What can I find? She's still trying to survive. From minute 1 all the way to the end, it's survival, survival, survival. And the mother is an obvious parallel. The mother alien, that is an obvious parallel. Like, she is the focal point of the aliens that keeps them surviving. The queen. Yeah, sorry. That's the better. The queen. She propagates the species, and even after they blow up the whole nest. I mean, I'm watching her like grabbing around trying to get Newt through the grates, and like that's the propagation of her species. If she captures Newt, she can impregnate her and keep the species going.
Well, yeah, they need humans as part of their reproductive process, or some kind of vessel. We find out later it doesn't always have to
It's
be
interesting
human,
because it's not a symbiotic relationship, because it doesn't seem mutually
No, it's
beneficial. But it is
parasitic.
interesting how human
Yeah.
beings became part of their.
But like,
Yeah.
Or just they need a host.
On,
Yeah, they
on
need a
this,
host.
can we
Yeah.
talk about the anatomy real quick / cycle of how the alien works?
Yeah, that's a great topic.
Because I think that'd be cool to just go over that
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is the queen that we got introduced in this movie. Because the first movie, we just know that it's a fucking creature that puts in work in a really gross
This
way.
is the birds and bees.
So there's the
Where do
queen.
babies come from?
I mean, people babies, they go inside you.
That's very different.
Who knows if there's more than one queen? We don't. Or maybe
Yeah.
they talk.
Oh,
about
I know.
that. Okay.
I know the answers.
Maybe you talk about this then.
Well, no,
Just
No, I want to hear you
Yeah, you
talk
should
about
do
it.
it.
Just the lore is actually kind of stupid, but
All right, from the 2 that I've seen, I'm not going to mention Prometheus or Covenant.
well,
There's the queen that lays eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The eggs have the little spider
The
dudes.
face hugger.
Face
Face
huggers,
huggers.
yeah.
Such a cool.
Also
name for
very
those.
influential.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
games and stuff. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's why I'm wearing this
Everywhere.
turtleneck. It's hugging my neck,
Yeah.
not my face.
So the face huggers, they're the ones that need another host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they need a host.
Yeah, they need a host to stick the embryo into, and then that incubates in the host, and then it pops out.
So it like drops a seed or something in like another egg, and then the little guy is what turns into the big one.
Yeah.
That turns into
Okay,
the drone.
so
yeah.
these eggs are essentially what is it? Stagnant or whatever until they detect a host.
Dormant, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Basically,
yeah.
in the movies, it seems to be.
It
the
seems
case.
like they
Okay.
can stay there indefinitely.
Oh really?
Well, I don't know. If you go by
Alien.
the Alien, it seems like
I think
those
of-
eggs had been there for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
I think of
yeah.
them like endospores. They can.
Huh?
It's endospores basically
What?
like a bacterial microbial strain that basically puts itself into a husk that's virtually indestructible because it's so tiny and so like compact. And then when the conditions are perfect for it to propagate, it basically lets itself out, and it can stay that way indefinitely, pretty much. They're
Damn,
terrifying.
so it's like lifeless, and then until it can.
Damn.
Yeah, that's-
detect
It's like a
host or
plant
some
seed,
shit,
basically.
yeah,
then
that's
it'll,
what-
like, latch on.
So wait,
When
That's
you get-
so gross.
That's what's terrible. So wait, when,
So
when
gross.
the face hugger
Ugh.
leaves is hatched or it leaves its egg,
Yeah.
it can stay alive indefinitely.
Yeah,
I thought
and-
once it leaves the
Until
I
until
thought
once
you
it
were saying
leaves
it
the-
stays alive
once it
indefinitely.
leaves
I was
the
saying the
confines
egg.
of
I was
the
saying
egg.
the egg stays alive
Yeah.
indefinitely. I don't know if the,
The-
face
the
huggers
pro-
stay alive, but they stay alive a lot longer unless
Yeah.
they drop their
The
load.
process of the face hugger incubating the person is so
Yeah,
gross too.
Oof.
I
Did it
love the
happen in
shot.
This one?
yeah.
Yeah, not really.
They
You
talked
see-
about it.
They
You know,
talked about
one
it.
of the
Yeah.
You
things
see the colonists have been incubated, but I love in the first movie where
That's
they're
the
trying to
gross
get it
part
away
where
from
it's
you.
like-
It's like wrapping itself around.
They
its-
did
You could hear
such an
Zach just breathing.
they did such an amazing job of staying true to the first movie, but just adding to it, expanding the universe and the
Oh,
special
yeah.
effects. And I did look this up because I wanted to know if H.R. Giger was involved.
Mhm.
You probably do know
He
this.
designed
I
the
didn't.
Queen, right?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say I thought that yes he did, but H.R. Giger, he wanted to be a part of this movie and work for it, but he was contractually obligated to Poltergeist 2.
Oof.
And
No
so
way.
Fox could not, who distributed the movie, Fox could not negotiate
Mhm.
with him. So then in came Stan Winston, who is a legend,
Mhm.
and he did an amazing job in this
What
movie.
has he done?
Amazing.
He's-
Don't know him.
I mean, he's worked. I mean, like.
I mean,
just
yeah.
like, you look at, like,
anything.
his
I think he made
Wikipedia.
Predator too. Like,
He-
but, like,
No.
cool.
He did Predator. He did Commando. He
Oh,
did.
so we're good.
He did.
Yeah.
No, he
You're
did
in safe hands.
tons of, he I think he was involved, like, well, he had his own special effects studio, but
Yeah,
I think
they're
he
still
also
around.
worked with Industrial Light and Magic.
Mhm.
Stan Winston is a legend, but that is crazy to think like H.R. Giger would have worked on this movie if not for Poltergeist 2.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that means like a totally different Queen design. Not
Right.
not to
Yeah.
knock this one at all, which
yeah.
was fucking cool.
It was great.
It's
Well,
like
what they tried to
fat
stay
and-
true
but
to his
It
vision.
could also like detach itself from.
I mean,
it's from its weird birthing tube.
The,
Yeah,
the
it's
larval,
gross.
the larval.
yeah.
what they did with the facehugger is amazing. It's totally different from the first movie. They have way more movement. They're more like long fingers
Mhm.
like this time around. It's even scarier and more animated. And
So the Xenomorph, who did they name it in the first one? Did they call it a Xenomorph?
I think they
I don't
did,
think
right?
they do, and I think
Really?
actually in this one
Oh, wow.
they only
First time
use the
I
term
mentioned
xenomorph.
What?
All we know is that there's still no contact with the colony and that a xenomorph may be involved.
It's more of a term than actually supposed to be the name of the creature, which I
Who
think that
named it that?
came about
Was-
later in pop culture.
Xeno
Like that's just what
means
people call it.
alien morph is like shape. So
Yeah.
alien shape is basically
So,
what xenomorph means.
This
Xeno
was the
means
first
whatever.
movie where they mentioned the name Xenomorph.
They mention it, but I don't think that's actually what the species is called.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like a type of creature, is a xenomorph.
So
like
they,
without
in
saying
any
it,
of
yeah.
these series, do they have an official term for it, or is it just called the Alien?
I think in Alien
Or-
Covenant doesn't
They
Michael
refer to
Fassbender have a name for it?
He
Well,
does have a
we'll
name
talk
for
about
it.
All right, yeah, we don't need to talk.
People have just
Those
been
movies are
calling them the
fine.
Xenomorphs for a while now, so that's
So
kind of the
people gave
official
it
name.
kind of like the Hellraiser Pinhead,
Yeah.
or wasn't his real name, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the
Like-
Predator, it's not actually called the Predator. They're called like the Dorgrok 2 or something.
Yeah, he's not calling
that's not
himself.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know when is a good time to bring it up, but let me ask you. It's your movie choice, and you know the most about it than anyone. But do you want to talk at all about? No, do you want to talk at all about James Cameron? Because this is his it's his creation.
Yeah, I mean James Cameron just had a hit film last year, Avatar: The Way of Water.
He loves his military guys.
He
huh?
loves his military
Yeah.
Space Marines. This is
I love my
You know,
military guys too.
I've never seen.
Bro, he wrote the screenplay and directed.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's yeah.
And this
Michael,
was
do
after.
you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah, you can talk about
well,
James
no, it's
Cameron.
here. This is your movie
Okay.
choice. You should be steering the ship.
No,
I'm
no.
just saying, do you want to talk
Steering
about
the
James
ship
Cameron?
like James Cameron
Yeah, exactly.
would do, or
Yeah.
a submarine. But we've all seen Titanic, Avatar, whatever. Those are fine. But really, this era, the 80s, the 90s, The Abyss, which I've never really seen, and
Good
Oh,
movie.
what's the other one, True Lies? I've never seen that either. Or
I love True Lies.
uh-huh.
I love James
True
Cameron. I
Lies.
think the flack that he
I
gets
didn't
is
even realize
stupid.
Well,
I mean-
I don't know if it's stupid because
As a filmmaker,
I don't want
love him.
to
not
talk
as a
about
person.
Avatar, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty mid film. All things
Yeah,
considered.
I'm just talking about as a filmmaker. I
Yeah.
like James Cameron. Yeah.
I think compared to this and the Terminator movies, his newer stuff is pretty weak.
Oh, I mean,
But he's just trying to,
no quibble with
he's just
that.
having a good time with his special effects and his cash money from China. But
I think too. I mean, though. Okay, so a couple of things I'll bring up with James Cameron. One, like one of the all-time film visionaries. I think that's can't be disputed. And he got this movie because of Terminator.
Mhm.
Like he was a relative unknown, but he came up with a Terminator, and so they're like, all right, you can do Aliens. Aliens was a big deal. They tried to make this movie for many years because Alien came out in '79.
Right.
This movie came out in '86.
Damn.
They were trying for a long time to get that movie made, but there was just all these. I don't
Did
know.
Ridley Scott not
battles
want to
over
come
it.
back, or he didn't care anymore?
I do not know.
That is a great question. I'm not sure about that. I'm sure that they wanted Ridley Scott. And then James Cameron, who again was when they were thinking about who was going to direct the movie, who was going to take charge of it, James Cameron's name came up, but again he was a relative unknown. And then there was the Terminator, and then it's like, well, what about this guy? He's like one of the hot new.
Yeah, he's
names,
coming on up.
He's coming.
Yeah.
He's on the come. But also I just think like with James Cameron, think about like all-time female leads, like badass
Oh, yeah.
action heroes. Well,
It's the
okay,
two of them.
Sarah
Yeah,
Connor
and Ellen
and
Ripley.
Ellen
Yeah.
Ripley. They're like 1 and 2. Take your pick.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
I
you know?
definitely
So,
agree.
kind of like credit to James Cameron. You know,
Mhm.
say what you will about the guy, but 1, a visionary, and 2, like really ahead of his time.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
he didn't
I mean-
create Ellen Ripley, but I'd say he kind of molded her into the badass
Yeah,
action hero.
yeah.
I mean, she was pretty badass in the first one, but more.
Oh, yeah.
She wasn't really even the main character in that story. She ends up, focuses on her in the end, which is kind of a thing in horror movies. The final girl,
I also love how he uses Michael Biehn, who every time
Mhm.
I see him, I love that guy, that actor, the one who played.
Yeah, he plays Hicks.
Hicks.
Yeah, he's Kyle Reese.
I love that actor.
Terminator.
He's great.
He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I haven't seen him in too much.
He's also in The Abyss. He's the
Oh,
villain
yeah,
in The
okay.
Abyss. He's really
Villain,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
I think like he's able to. This is really hard to do.
That's cool.
Is to be sincere in an action movie, or like like an intense and for it to just be completely believable. Like it's like this guy, he's over the top, but yet I believe all of it.
Oh yeah.
I believe that guy traveled through time to save Sarah Connor, and like he's dead. That's not an easy thing
No,
to
I
do.
agree.
Like usually roles like that, you look stupid.
Yeah.
Michael Biehn, man,
CGI
shout
Courtney
out.
once
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like during just to like dovetail that. He's very understated. Like while all of the other Marines are doing their hoorahs and like backslapping and whatnot, he hardly says a word in a whole opening scene. He's not part of the bullshit.
He's
which I think
he's
helps.
sleeping during all the
right, yeah.
Someone
so
relaxed.
A lot of it is like really great subtle character work. Like when all the other troopers are being told to head into the building while it's raining out there, they're all super focused. They're moving in. They're like taking it super seriously. And then when they tell Hicks to go in and then go to the second floor, he takes a second, looks around, and then he goes in just as serious. And it almost seems like there's a delay, which I thought was weird, like the first time I saw the movie. But now I think it's character work that maybe wasn't explicit enough. It's a little bit hard to tell. But I think it was to show that he's a little bit more considerate, that he's patient, he's calm, he's relaxed. Everyone else is like, get ready to go to hell.
They're like
The shit's
trying to
going
pump up
down.
their own adrenaline. And
But everyone, when they get to the bottom, someone wake Hicks up.
Mhm.
He's asleep. He's relaxed.
And he was the one in command afterwards, right?
Yeah.
He was in command after
Apone.
Gorman got hit on the head,
Yeah,
and then Apone died.
yeah.
And you can tell he's kind of not quite ready to be in charge of this whole operation, but he's the chain of command. It's his job to try to
But
save these people.
he's the right man for that job.
Yeah.
Like both
It's such a great.
both like professionally and ethically. Like
Yeah.
he's the man for the job.
It's such a
Like,
great moment. I've only seen this once. I literally just saw it a few months ago for the first time, and that moment where he, like,
You gonna say
Ripley is like, "You're next in line," and he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah. Exactly.
After all this shit,
Such a good moment.
This operation is under military jurisdiction, and Hicks is next in chain of command. Am I right, Corporal?
Yeah.
I love his reaction too when Gorman's like, "What are you putting him in command? He's just a grunt. No offense."
Look, Ripley, this is a multi-million-dollar installation, okay? He can't make that kind of decision. He's just a grunt. No offense. None taken.
It wasn't Gorman, it was Burke.
You're right. It was Burke.
Gorman redeems himself
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end. I like Gorman.
Yeah, Gorman's fine.
He does.
He does.
Gorman's a good
He
guy.
sacrifices
He just
himself.
He's just
couldn't handle
inexperienced.
it.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
inexperienced.
He went
didn't
back
have
for that
enough
chick.
experience.
Yeah. He went back
Yeah.
and he turned out to be brave in the end, but he was
Yeah.
inexperienced, and a lot, pretty much nobody except
Yeah,
for Ripley was expecting.
Remember, this is the first contact with aliens for humans, pretty much,
Yeah.
aside from Ripley's earlier in the first movie. So this is like, he's like, oh fuck, aliens are real.
Yeah.
Wait,
And they're
you're
trying
telling
to
me
kill
you're telling me if we shoot anything in there, a nuclear fusion reactor will go off?
Yeah, he didn't even know. They had to tell him.
Fuck!
Ripley basically had to
This
take
sounds
charge.
like the worst possible setup. I'm supposed to be the tactician here?
And even when they shoot them, they get splashed
Like,
with acid
yeah.
blood. It's so awful.
That's terrible.
Careful.
I don't blame him.
If you do shoot him, be careful.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if I would be as funny as Bill Paxton, but that's what I would be, and I'd be the guy that'd be like, "Calm down, shut the fuck up." There'd be no way that I could be calm in that situation.
I love how done
Yeah, I
people
mean-
are with him. Like towards the middle of the movie, they're just like, just shut up. Just calm down and listen.
I'm through with your shit, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
Also,
oh, no.
writing mechanic or whatever there, where like the military guys can't use their strongest guns
Mhm.
inside the base
Yeah.
of the aliens that they're going to. They see all the bodies on the motion detector or whatever.
They're going into
So
the nest.
cool. Yeah.
Going into the nest. I love that moment too because Gorman tells them to turn off their energy weapons and give up their grenades or whatever, but he doesn't tell them why, which I think.
I was thinking that.
But that's, I think, just because
Yeah.
he's inexperienced and he's thinking like he's keeping it on a need-to-know basis. But that's kind of an instance where
That's a
someone
need
who's
to know.
you should
Pretty
tell them
important.
why. That's otherwise Vasquez
I-
and Drake aren't going to sneak a grenade away from you if they know why you don't want them to use it.
I'm
But-
sure like the motion detector device has been used in many movies. I'm trying to think of it
I remember
it
in
works
30
so
Rock.
yeah.
So
It
good.
just works so well. I don't know if they do that in movies anymore, but it's such a wonderful way of building tension. And I mean, they keep going back to it in the movie, but every single time it works. Every single time, like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
getting-
and
this is getting
also
worse.
just to add on that, like the actual audio detail of it is so fucking cool because when it's zoomed in, it's like loud, but when there's a shot of them zoomed out, it's not as loud. Like,
Oh, right on.
You're
yeah.
like,
Oh, cool! I never noticed that.
The click too, the little. I can't remember what it's like a little electric tap.
It's like they're selling part of the radar thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a timer, you know, the countdown to.
Yeah.
5 meters, man. 4. What the hell?
Great.
And Indy, you made a good point because I had said, because for 1986 it's so great. Well, for 1986, I can't even imagine when people were in the theater watching this how much their minds must have been blown.
Oh,
because
yeah.
not only does this movie hold up, it's just still an incredible watch. And I would think for however long people are watching movies, when they revisit this movie or see it for the first time, it will impress them. And when I see movies like this, I'm just like, man, these are very special, very talented people.
they don't make them like this
Who can do
anymore.
this?
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
That
And-
level of puppeteering work. I mean, on the
Yeah.
Queen, I read once it took like 16 people to operate.
Whoa,
It's
Man.
like one of the biggest puppets ever built.
Yeah.
And it looks
wild.
real.
Oh yeah.
And
You
that
know,
goes-
it's like the CGI shit is.
And that goes back to this
Yeah.
great story when Peter Jackson was making the Lord of the Rings movies and George Lucas at the same time was making the prequels, and the two of them were talking together, and George Lucas was telling Peter Jackson, all these miniatures that you're using, all these various
It's a giant
practical
waste of time,
effects,
dude.
pretty much, like you can do this like with CGI. And then essentially Peter Jackson's reply was, I know.
Ha!
Like, I know.
He's like, yeah, I
I'm
saw
gonna
the
do it.
Phantom
I'm
Menace.
gonna
It was
do it.
terrible.
I'm gonna do it this
I'm gonna
way.
do it the
And
better way.
yeah. And so, but the truth is, the studios don't want to do that because it's way more work. It's way more time. They don't want to go to the trouble. But you
But
see
some
what
people appreciate it.
Well, when you go to the trouble, you
Everyone
see
does.
what you can get.
It's amazing, and you
Yeah.
can see that throughout this
Like-
franchise. The next couple movies, as they start using more and more CGI, the alien feels less and less tangible, and less like it's actually there.
Yeah.
I did notice one shot of like the model, like when they're going over the outpost, they're flying over it, and it's supposed to be like a chopper view of the colony, but it's clearly someone like holding a camera over a model, just like the way their hands are shaking. It's like, but, you know, it's a couple things. Like when they go
It's
through the
86,
clouds, it doesn't look
man.
perfect, but
I thought it worked well.
it's amazing. The effects are second to none.
It probably helps the acting too, because like Sigourney
Oh,
Weaver's
definitely.
in the room.
Mhm.
Alex, how would you say the science is in this movie?
I
Like for science fiction?
I'd say her
No,
arm-
I enjoy your sci-fi analysis. Like if it's good science or how.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Nothing's notable to me, honestly.
I have a
It was
science
pretty straight-
question.
It was pretty
What are
straightforward.
give me some science takes.
My question of
Yeah.
science is, I feel like getting the vacuum of space would have just torn her arm off at the
Oh,
end
for
when she
sure.
was clinging to the ladder.
Let's just say that within that 2-door chamber, there's some sort of artificial field that's maybe weak enough to allow humans to
Like a magic
climb out
field.
of there if
Mhm.
they get stuck in there somehow.
Okay,
Just as a precaution.
good.
I also imagine it'd be extremely,
wait, so
extremely
There's a
dangerous.
force field.
wait, dumb this down for me.
No, I'm
What
with
is
you.
there? There's a force field.
There's
you
a
said?
magic field that prevents that from happening.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to find a way to
They
explain.
use the graviton
because
particle.
Yeah.
Realistically, it either, depending on how space really works, rip you apart and like suck you out, or
Yeah.
not that.
So it's not the first time it's happened. That's why they have that button up there. It's like,
Yeah,
"Whoa."
exactly.
So what you do is you
Yeah.
just hold on, whoa, and the field kind of protects you a little bit, enough that you.
What
There's
a
an
awesome
android,
kill
they're
at the end
stronger.
with the queen.
When she
Yeah.
rips him in half.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
Oh my god, the tail.
So cool.
That
Yeah.
tail's so menacing.
I know, and
Yeah.
it's
So,
Skewered.
so
Yeah.
on that, I wanted to say two things. One, can these xenomorphs, they can think them, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
smart.
intelligent.
well, the
They're
queen
smart.
at least, because
Like
you
they
see,
turn the power off?
right,
So that's
But-
like a thing.
Well, I was wondering, like, is the queen just telling, like, she's thinking and she's just telling them what to do, or are they all capable of knowing what it means to cut the power?
Is that
I think
Or-
So
Like
It's-
that would be cooler if it was that.
So
it's
she,
confirmed
like-
later in the series for sure, but I'm pretty sure that at least from this point they've always been intended to be intelligent. I mean, they attack through stealth most of the time, and
Yeah, there is
in
one
this
where-
movie, they do a lot of electronic work and planning. They surround them, and they come through above. I mean, That was pretty intelligent.
Mhm.
One had one of the exits blocked, but that's why Burke died. I mean, I would say that they're pretty intelligent given what they do in the franchise, but also in the later sort of connected movies, I hesitate to say this, like Covenant. I think Fassbender's character says something akin to that they're the ultimate predator to humans. They're the ultimate life form. They're intelligent. They're vicious.
I found perfection here. I've created it. Perfect organism.
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. Unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality.
There's some bias there. There's also some oversight, like, I don't know, Ridley Scott or James Cameron, whoever is primarily in charge of this franchise, probably was like, many years after the fact, it's like, yeah, no, they're pretty intelligent. You know, it could always be that hindsight thing where it's like, yeah, let's state that they're really intelligent, just so that they're more threatening.
They're
see
intelligent
one of them kill
enough
a
to
queen
be,
in one of the later ones.
but they're intelligent enough. They're adaptive, right? Like they can adapt to new environments. And,
right.
I mean, apparently, it reminds me of like the Velociraptor that like, oh, they can open doors.
Yeah.
Okay, they're pretty smart. Like,
So the queen at the end, you know how Ripley's shows the flame and like is threatening, like, hey, let us go. It's all done non-verbally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you pick it up, let us go, or I'm gonna burn your eggs.
Yeah.
And, like the other aliens like back off. So
Yeah.
like she knows, the queen knows what's
The
happening.
queen definitely does.
do
yeah.
you know if the queen is communicating with the other aliens, or is it like literally the aliens just act as she wishes them to?
From the later movies, I think she has to talk to them somehow. I remember them kind of going like,
Midi-chlorians.
and then the aliens like, and the queen's like,
Let's not mention the other movies and some of the expanded lore, because I'm not kidding when I say this. There's lore where there's an alien queen that's turned into a humanoid version of the aliens because of some author's sick, twisted sexual fantasies.
well, there's also the half alien in the fourth one. That's
Well, I mean,
a hybrid
yeah,
between
let's
these two.
let's not mention.
Well,
the
because-
Yeah,
ones that-
okay,
I
wow.
don't, I don't
Yeah,
like
let's
those.
stick.
I like these two.
Yeah.
Let's not go beyond that.
All right, so sticking on this
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
with
okay.
the queen being able to think, two things. One, the funny thing was that she pushed the button for the elevator, and she got onto the elevator at the very end.
Point.
That was funny.
I actually realized, I used to think that was stupid that she pushed the button on the elevator, but I actually realized she doesn't push the button. The elevators, once they go down to the bottom,
They automatically
go up, and Ripley pushed the button for both elevators so she could
Oh,
get on
man.
which one
I was really
came
hoping
first.
she was like pushing it really
Yeah,
fast. And,
the
like,
queen.
She does the
I was thinking like
when she's inside, she does the button trick where she holds the door closed button so it goes directly.
maybe when
Elevator music.
maybe when you edit it,
That's really
you can have, like in the
That's such a great image.
like in the final edit, can we have like a tally of all the times the alien does a smart thing?
Okay.
You know, like,
I like that.
smart thing.
When she rips Bishop in half,
Mhm.
Ripley is speaking to Bishop
Mhm.
at that point. Like they're having a conversation, and this is just the way I'm thinking about it. The alien queen could have just pounced on Ripley and like killed her instantly, but I think she didn't because I think she wanted her to suffer a little bit first.
Ooh,
like
personal?
you killed, yeah, it's like
Mhm.
That's
personal.
why she went after Newt. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you killed my eggs. You didn't kill me first.
Right.
You killed the eggs first.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fucking kill
That makes sense.
this person you're talking to and this kid you've been with first, and then I'll save you for the end.
Edgar, what an awesome point. You got me just excited to just expand
Yeah,
on
go
that
for it.
because Alex, you were saying how like the fulcrum of this, which I agree with, is survival, right? It's all pure survival. But in this case, yes, the queen alien was surviving, but she was doing more than she wanted revenge. She wanted vengeance. Like that was an act of passion even beyond survival. So yeah. It was like, so the alien, the queen at least, is sadistic. Like definitely more than just trying to survive. Which definitely denotes intelligence.
Like, I mean, he's a replicant though, not an android.
Yeah.
So he couldn't be impregnated.
But does she know that?
The queen?
Who knows what she knows?
I feel like she knows. She can sense like when something's biological or not.
We do get the sense that it's vengeful.
Because they were made by a robot, remember?
And I'm not disputing what you said. I think it was dead on, like what this is about, and then it just enhances it. That it's like, oh gosh, yeah, that was an act of passion, like temporary insanity. Yeah. It was like, you killed my babies, I'm gonna now kill your young one.
Yeah, the queen kind of had the drop on her. She probably could have gotten Ripley if she wasn't motivated by revenge.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on this subject, this is another very iconic thing in the movie, and that influenced a lot the mech suit.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh hell yeah!
That thing's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so you can see how it's like designed for utility and like industrial use. It's like obviously designed for like loading. It's like a forklift almost, but it's so like, badass as like a fighting suit.
It's like the sound effects are so awesome.
I've never seen Matrix 3.
And I
Dude, doesn't it make you want to? I just feel like a little kid when I'm watching that. It makes you want to go.
I don't get it.
Look, the only downside for me when she got on the suit the first time, or even at the end, and I don't know if the suit does it, but I was really wanting her to close the claws when she first got on. Like, yeah.
Well, the way they faced off, like she comes out, it's like super dramatic. She comes out of the closed door, like the bay opens, she comes out and she's all like ready to face off.
Her dope ass line.
The suit. Well, that okay. Who
Iconic
wants to say the iconic line?
Get away from her, you bitch.
Get away from her, you bitch.
How about we all give our okay, starting with you.
Get away from her, you bitch.
It's so cool.
Oh, it's yeah.
But they face off. I thought and this is like the second watch for me. I thought it was so good, the tension, because the suit kind of moves slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not like super.
Yeah, it's not super
cool
fast.
About it.
And they built tension with that because she's obviously like thinking about where she's putting the suit, because there's no interaction between them for a good 30 seconds.
Dude, she's just of them just like
they're just like what do they call it? They're squaring up.
Yeah. And then the queen remembers she has a tail. She's like,
No, you're right. She's playing chess because she has to anticipate moves ahead.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what do I have to do 4 moves down the road?
Cool payoff.
That's how you use your queen in chess.
Yo!
Or your bishop, am I right?
Oh, the bishop! Oh my god, what? Whoa.
Dude, I'm playing checkers, he's playing chess.
What a fucking cool payoff. Like earlier we get to see her like, hey, where do you need help in? Like I know how to
They set that up. They set that up. And even before, they were like, that's the only job she could get. She was doing that for months.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because she had a license as a. Because wasn't she was the pilot, right, of the ship,
which
in the
was
first movie.
Her incentive to do this again, because one, to get over her fears, but also they're like, we'll get you your pilot's license back, or your status back, because we've removed it.
They take her license away.
Wasn't she a science officer?
A researcher.
Okay.
I wasn't sure, so I was just going with what you were saying.
No, I don't know.
She was probably. I mean, she can do that.
But they do mention
if she was a pilot, wouldn't they have her fly at some point in this movie? I mean, I feel like that's a pretty useful badass trait to show off for your character. In
you're right. Movie. She was a pilot. They wouldn't have had the robot flying.
Well, she was a consultant.
Well, in this movie, yeah. But they do mention that they took her license away for her license to something.
What would you say if I told you I could get you reinstated as a flight officer?
Excellent foreshadowing. With the next suit.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say excellent foreshadowing.
I heard you're working in the cargo docks.
That's right.
Running loaders and forklifts, that sort of thing?
So?
maybe what this movie. What year is it taking place?
I think it's. I think it's the
20
24th century, but
24th century. So I guess what happens is, as human beings, like we reconciled all of our prejudices and discriminations, and once we did all of that, then we just went right back to all the old racist jokes.
Anytime, anywhere.
Right. Somebody said alien. She thought they said illegal alien and signed up.
Fuck you, man.
Anytime, anywhere.
Are you finished?
So the budget was $18 million. It grossed worldwide somewhere around 180
million?
Yeah, it grossed worldwide somewhere around 180 million. It was the fourth biggest movie of its year, and I want to share the three that were above it. Okay, so the number one was Top Gun. Hell yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
Number two, Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah!
and number three, a little movie called Platoon. But I like that America really had its priorities.
So we are closing in on time, but if y'all will indulge me, I did want to talk about just really quick the story arc of Bishop really quick.
Yes.
Because I think it's beautiful.
Yes.
I really think it's beautiful. I mean, when we all the AI android betrays Ripley in the first movie, and she's clearly scarred by that. And when we first meet Bishop, she slaps a tin of cornbread out of his hands and says, "Just stay away from me." She's just like, "I don't trust you at all." So I have the sense, and we don't have necessarily any evidence of this, but I have the sense that Bishop really cares to show her that he's good.
Yeah.
I think he would have done the things that he did anyway, but you do get the impression that he really wants to let her know. And so fast forward to the scene where he offers to be the sacrificial person to go out through the tube. Great shot, by the way.
Yeah.
In the tube with the light on his face.
Oh,
and
yes. And you see how far down it goes.
Oh,
Would you say he seems a little
shot.
bit scared in that scene even?
I got the sense that,
he is. They have survival instincts in the lore.
Right.
Yeah. No, he does. I think he actually says, "I'm scared too," something like that.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I know this is dangerous.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'd prefer not to. I may be synthetic, but I'm not stupid.
So then he gets the ship, and then they get the ship. They're all together, but Newt is still in, and Ripley's like, "How much time do we have?" 26 minutes. We're going back in. He's like, "We are." He does it. They go back in, right? And okay, so fast forward again. She says, "You did a good job," right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he has this moment of proud android.
Bishop, you did okay.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that arc is beautiful. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything.
I have something to add. In the beginning, when he does the knife hand game with Hudson, also a callback to Dark Star. When he's doing it, and then he cuts his own finger, and you see the white blood coming out, which is in there only for Ripley to be able to see that he's an android. But also, someone says, "Bishop, I thought you never missed." And this time watching it, I thought maybe he didn't actually miss. He was willing to nick his own finger to avoid nicking one of Hudson's fingers.
Interesting.
Because he cares so much, or he's programmed to care for these people so much. He mentions he can't harm someone, or
Might I mention, because I've played Alien Isolation, which you play as Ripley's daughter, during a particular period of time where those old androids from the first movie are kind of malfunctioning on a whole, that it's very cathartic to see how far the androids have come along and how they're programmed with more, parameters that allow them to simulate humanity a lot better, to the point where it's almost entirely believable that they're human. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, one quick thing though on androids. We don't have to delve deeply into this, but Ash, the first alien, right? I suppose I'm misunderstanding the character because I don't see it or fully see it as an android malfunctioning. It seemed that Not at
No,
all.
that's
It seemed
just
that
the
was
company-
Yeah, the company
exactly,
programmed him to do
companies
that.
programmed him to behave. So when you say malfunction, what are you saying exactly?
I didn't
Like,
say that.
I was saying
Well,
malfunction.
They were programmed not to be violent with people, but
Mhm.
there were exceptions that the company put into those parameters, and by using that kind of loophole, they could harm humans as a whole, which they weren't programmed to do.
Yeah.
That's a malfunction.
So when Ash attacks Ripley in the first one,
Yeah.
that's a malfunction in as much as, yes, Ash had its mission
Yeah.
to complete, but that's
Ash less so than the androids in the game, primarily because for the game it's more dangerous if you have killer androids on the loose.
Right. As a game,
Ash, it's a
yeah.
lot more debatable, I would say. But that was just my 2 cents. I wasn't trying.
No, it's really interesting because I think another reason, like I know we're talking about aliens, not alien, but the two are joined at the hip.
Yeah.
And it just Ash to me is possibly the most interesting character. Like out of all the characters, I love that character, and I still think about why it behaves or why he behaves the ways that he does, and it's like, okay, on one hand, an android is supposed to not be violent towards humans, and on the other hand, I guess if its primary objective is in any way threatened, then that supersedes not hurting humans. So then it's like you have the green light. Oh, now I can hurt people. Because I still wonder why Ash essentially tries to murder Ripley.
I guess I always imagined the company just programmed him to do that.
Yeah.
The
Get the job
priority.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priorities.
It's, you didn't realize from the lore, Wayland is not a good company. Not
Yeah, I guess maybe
You
that's
know,
what it comes down
yeah.
to.
They're pretty
Yeah.
evil people.
You don't need
But
to watch
what,
Prometheus.
but
the
does that mean that
androids
Bishop has
are
that?
really
Sorry,
awesome.
yeah. Okay.
That
so-
malfunctioning capability.
capability. Does Bishop have that malfunctioning capability?
Well, if you want to dive into the lore more,
I made my. It's not an original point. I've heard it said by many others, but how I do think it's analogous with, say, like we're talking about Godfather and Godfather 2. It's like a flip of the coin. There's two masterpieces, and this is definitely a masterpiece movie. I feel like it would be stupid to not give it anything but 5s. But I do feel, as far as rewatchability, it was really cool rewatching this movie again. But I'm much more eager to rewatch Alien. Even though I've seen that movie several times, I want to see Alien again before I see Aliens. And this movie is awesome. The action is awesome. The special effects are spectacular. Performances are so good. There's just something for me about Alien that just, I don't know, it touches me on a personal note. I can't really like defend it in any other way. I just personally.
You don't
So
have to defend
with
it
that,
in
no,
your
I know, but so because of that, for the, sorry, for the VHS, I don't know why I was pausing there. The VHS tapes, I'm going to give it a 4. Love it, but like, I don't even know if I'll be eager to rewatch. Although I do want to watch the 3-hour version. I do want to see that. But and then I mean, come on. As far as film reels, this is a masterpiece. 5. It's easy. Done. Aliens, awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was my pick. Like I said, this has long been one of my favorite movies. I completely agree. Well, kind of with your Godfather 1 and 2 analogy, because I think these two movies are more different from one another. They kind of offer two kind of very different experiences in the way the Godfather 1 and 2 are very similar. all
Really,
things
I feel like
considered.
those movies. Okay, sorry. This is
I mean, they're similar in tone and the type of storytelling, but anyway. Anyway, I love this movie. I feel like, honestly, this is pretty much as close to perfect as you can get in a movie. They don't make them like this anymore.
Nope.
80s action movies, there's nothing like it. So 5 out of 5 in both categories from me. Just masterpiece. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna just be very clear. This is the benchmark for me on what a good action movie should be. It blends its action elements with its storytelling. It's got an imaginative, really cool world, and it's very consistent with itself. I'm sure you could find some little scientific nitpicks or something if you really look hard at it. But as a movie, you know, it spurs on the imagination. It gives you a pretty clear-cut story about recovering from trauma, taking action, and it has a lot of great action and effects. And what more do you need? I would give it a 5 in both categories.
Hey,
is that the first time?
For Val, I think
That was the
it is,
first
yeah.
time. I thought Being There, no, not 2 5s.
I thought I gave Being There 2 5s.
Oh, maybe you did, yeah. I think we all did.
Yeah. You guys are acting like I give everything away.
I think you have the lowest average.
Val's turned over.
I do. I'm a very harsh critic. You guys have shown me a lot of decent movies. I feel like I've been fair.
It's because of movies like this that you're a harsh critic.
Val's an android. He's been reprogrammed to give positive ratings.
All right, I'm up. So, yeah, rewatchability. I will watch this continually for the rest of my life. I put it in the same category as Blade Runner for me. Like, I want to continually watch it. It's like listening to Beatles music. You know, you get something new out of it every single time because it's so deep. I'll say real quick, as for influence, I actually wore my Super Metroid shirt today.
Ripley.
Samus, well, yeah, so this is Ridley.
Ridley, named after Ridley Scott.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Shut
And
your mouth.
Samus and Samus Aran, another heroine. There's a woman under that suit of armor there. Just thought I'd mention that. But
I have my shirt too.
Oh yeah. Indy's shirt is really cool. The Nostromo.
I've got my facehugger shirt on.
What I just wanted to like hammer home for me personally, watching Sigourney Weaver's performance got me. Actually, I was kind of surprised. It got me emotional. There was such deep meaning in her every action and word. I love her so much. I feel so much for this performance and for this actor. She's amazing. And I wanted to say I have a sort of a similar sense, not quite as deep, but David Bowman from Dr. Bowman from 2001: A Space Odyssey. There is this sense of very profound meaning that you get from his actions and his words. And I'm finding myself with a very similar perspective on Ripley's character that I did to Dr. Bowman's. So yeah, anyway, Indy can just put it up on the screen before I say the words because everyone knows that I'm going to give it 2 5s. 5 out of 5 VHS tapes, 5 out of 5 film reels. Masterpiece.
Wow.
Acting. I'm sorry.
It's so good.
All right, I'm pretty much just gonna. I agree with you guys. I fucking loved this movie. I can't believe I've never seen it before. I'm glad I finally got to see it
with the boys.
With the boys. I'm gonna just keep going on Sigourney Weaver because I too love Ridley's character. Like, she does such a good job. Like, I feel for her when she was having those night terrors. Like, I was like, God, that sucks. And like, she has to go back to this. And now you're telling me that she's also like a mom too, that like to get to see her kid grow up. Just adds so much to her character. She's like such a fucking badass. I know I've said it so many times, but I can't state that enough. The movie's so cool. They added to the lore in a very action-packed way. They didn't go off the hinges with it though. Awesome performances. I love the military guys. They'll always crack me up. And yeah, I want to see more of it. And like, I hope they re-release it in theaters soon for some anniversary or whatever, because I would love to see this on the big screen.
Yeah.
Like, fucking loud, huge. 5 and 5. The mini stories of like the relationship between the android, what we know from the first one, what we know now. There's like so much more to talk about too. Just based on that stuff. But 5 VHS tapes, 5 5 film reels. I think Alien 1 I might prefer a little bit more, but that's just
It's
like a
maybe a
preference,
top 20
and I
favorite
think shouldn't take away from what an incredible movie this is, and it deserves its pop cultural lore and everything that's we've gotten from it.
All right.
Can I just
Okay.
say that
5 by 5, like she
shout
says in the
out,
movie.
shout out,
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
shout out to Jonesy, one of the greatest
Oh,
cats
and I
in
know
the movie.
Jonesy returns in the other ones. I haven't seen him, but
Remake Alien 3.
Like I,
Release the Fincher cut.
it's such a wonderful thing that Jonesy's in this movie. It's like Jonesy made it, yeah.
I like when
Jonesy.
she's shoving Jonesy's face in the crate in the first movie. And the cat's like, cats are funny. So who's next for who's announcing their pick today?
Michael Clayton 2.
Is it me?
Oh no!
Next episode, we will be watching this film.
Thanks for watching.
What a mind blower.
Like, subscribe.
If your friends haven't heard of BDSM, send them our way.
I was discussing
If
some
they haven't
movies.
heard of B-Bads.
Every time you subscribe, I feel a little bit better.